Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This series I am once again joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading Warbreaker for the first time. Each episode will summarize what we've read while discussing the experience along the way.
This is Warbreaker Breakdown, and today we discuss the prologue through Chapter 5.
Prologue through Chapter 5!
Yes. It's a new series, Kitty.
Yep. New series, new format.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting to be able to read at something approximating a more normal pace for what I usually read like on this channel.
Yeah. It should, I think we won't lose the detail because that's just not what we're about, because we do talk in depth about each chapter, but just the feeling of the pacing will be different. I think it'll be more satisfying, I think.
Yeah. Naturally, going into a new book, I've got my standard questions I like to go over beforehand. Kitty, what did you know about Warbreaker going into it?
Absolutely nothing. So that's my usual answer when Dorkus asks me about Branderson books. But this is like even more nothing. Okay? I know even less about Warbreaker. Like, that's it. I've seen it. I knew it was written by Brandon Sanderson. The end.
That is pretty much the same answer for me.
Mm.
For those new to my channel, I don't make it a secret that I came to Sanderson by way of his lectures first. So little bits of things like character names and details that I have long since forgotten about Mistborn and Way of Kings have popped their way into my psyche. But with Warbreaker, there sincerely is nothing going into it that I'm aware of. So this is a unique experience in that way.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, up to this point, Kitty, you and I have read the first 2 books in the Mistborn trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
The First Way of Kings, The Emperor's Soul, Sixth of the Dusk, Shadows for Silence. The question I have for you now is, what are your expectations for this book, about which we know nothing?
I expect to enjoy it, definitely. So there's that. Great stuff. But yeah, I'm thinking of there will be similarities that we can see between what we've read up until now, and what we're reading. That seems to be a shared experience that we've had with the other books. We can find
the Sandersonisms.
Yeah, the Sandersonisms, the similar characteristics, all of that. So yeah. I'm excited to get more of it.
I've only just realized I forgot to mention Elantris when I was going through what we've read.
Yeah, the whole of Elantris, yeah.
But to answer the question, I am expecting an extremely detailed and intricate magic system, detailed and intricate religions, a Sanderlanche format, meaning a lot of setup and then a much more quick-paced thing near the end of the book. I guess you could say if there is anything I did know going in, it's that it is a Cosmere novel, and therefore it's going to connect to the Cosmere in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting allusions to Christianity or the Bible in some way. You know, we've got Kaladin and Kelsier, who are Jesus-like figures. So I wonder if there will be a similar character here in Warbreaker. I'm expecting someone to utter the phrase, "this people," at some point.
Like they're going to save this people, or this people, screw them.
No, like, what I am doing, I do for this people. Kind of a sentiment. Let's see. I guess Hoyd is probably going to make an appearance at some point.
Whether we know it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else to say before we get into it?
Nope. That's about it.
All right. Well, then, I guess to briefly summarize the prologue, we get this character, Vasher, who is thrown into prison ostensibly for punching a priest, which seems like a pretty good reason to get thrown into prison.
Mm.
The guards are rifling through his things. They find a sword, and so the guards leave with the sword, which allows for Vasher to do some magic. He creates a straw being and orders it to get the keys, at which point he leaves the prison, or rather the cell specifically. He goes deeper into the prison, where he comes across a prisoner named Var. And we learn that Var was the leader of a rebellion. And Vasher at this point in time has very little capital B breath, and Var has hundreds upon hundreds of capital B breath. Essentially, Vasher says, hey, you can either give up your breath to me in exchange for a merciful death, or you can let the Hallandren guards continue to torture you until you give it to them, your enemy. Make your choice. Var makes the choice. He gives Vasher the breath, and Vasher leaves, having killed Var, and finds that the sword, his sword, which the guards took, killed all of the guards.
All by itself.
Yep. Quick and easy summary?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I guess first things first, what's your impression of Vasher?
He gives me Kelsier sort of vibes before Kelsier became, well, before he went to the pits of Hathsin. This is probably what he was like.
You think
it's about him? Yeah, before. It's, he doesn't, look, it would be Kelsier without Mare, okay? So he's got nothing else to care about but himself. And yeah, he's just running around doing stuff that will help him. He doesn't care about the rest of the world. Yeah, he doesn't care about rebels, etc.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because one of my big takeaways for Vasher, and I agree that there's a comparison to be made to Kelsier, it's really emphasized just how jaded and nihilistic he is in this chapter.
Yeah, which is very different to Kelsier.
Yeah. In fact, there's an exchange between Vasher and Var. It's right after Vasher has offered to mercy kill Var. Var says something to the effect of, well, that's quite the choice to make. And Vasher notes that there's a hardness, a void of emotion within Var. And Vasher thinks to himself, odd that I should finally, after all of this time, find something in the man that I can identify with. You compile that on top of his thoughts right at the start of the chapter. He's thinking about the barbarity of the guards and how they're not so different from the criminals in their aggressive behavior, and the general populace doesn't seem to care as long as they're directing that aggressiveness at the right people.
Yeah, and away from honest men. And then he thinks, not that if there is such a thing, if there are such honest men in the world. So yeah, a lot of jaded views. And yeah, the way I see it is he's operating within those jaded views as, oh, well, I'm just going to try my best for myself because it's no use helping others.
Yeah, which really makes me wonder, what exactly is he planning to do with all of the breath? It seems like he has some sort of goal. Something is motivating him. I don't recall. He refuses to answer Var's question on the matter, because Var wants to know if Vasher is going to continue Var's work, his work in the rebellion. And I got the sense in this chapter, because it comes back in a later chapter, that he isn't.
Yeah, he says he keeps his goals to himself. He says, my goals are my own, so he's not going to tell him. But he does promise that the breath will not be in the hands of the enemy.
Yeah.
So it seems like if there's a collateral damage that, the collapse of society happens, that's not his main goal. It could be that he has lost some love or something that has made him so jaded, and now it's just a revenge quest.
Right.
And that's all he's focused on. I'm wondering if, considering we have read the other chapters, is it like he's going to go and try and steal one of the breaths of the god king? Is he trying to? How does that work? Because you do get a sense that he's got a grand plan. It's not like he's just going to go and steal a loaf of bread and that's his plan.
Right, and then live a life of luxury.
Yeah.
And Sanderson is, I think, deliberately leaving a lot to mystery right now to have us intrigued and want to learn more. But building on this topic of we don't know his plans, we don't necessarily know his history either. There are passages in which the guards try to determine if Vasher is some sort of lord or not because of the sword. They end up presuming that he stole it. But there's also a line about how when he's reflecting on how terrible it is to have such few breaths, he's like, well, I could have all the breath I could ever want, but it would require certain sacrifices that I'm not willing to make. So I wonder, there are no lords in Hallandren, so it's not necessarily that he has some sort of pre-existing relationship with the gods of Hallandren, but there is, I feel like there's something there to contemplate.
Yeah, but Sanderson is not ready to tell us.
Yeah.
And then there is, at that moment when they're trying to, you can see the gods essentially trying to consider, is this guy a lord or from somewhere else or not? Because he's dressed very drab and plain. He doesn't look like a lord. But then there is that line where he goes, he thinks to himself, well, they're right and they're wrong about him being a lord. So he is a lord, but he's not a lord. So that makes us think, was it, what do you call it? Was he a lord and now he's not anymore? So yeah, more mystery. And I think it's great in the first chapter. That's what you want. You get the charismatic character and then you're like, why is he this way? Beautiful.
Right. At one point, he awakens not just the straw man, but his cloak as well. And we'll talk about Nightblood in a moment, I think. But I wanted to highlight that I felt like there was a lot of Big C character to the cloak. It invoked Doctor Strange and his cloak in a way. And clearly Nightblood is Big C character. Like, it literally speaks to us. And I don't necessarily feel like the cloak is going to be doing that, but the description of how it's frayed and there are stab wounds in it, I really appreciate.
That match the scars on his body. You know, they've got a relationship, these two.
Yes.
He doesn't, if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't take the breath back from the cloak at the end.
Correct. But then again, why would he need to? He's got hundreds upon hundreds.
Yeah, but I'm just making sure, like, so he basically walks around with it, always trying to protect him.
Right.
A la Doctor Strange.
Right. Oh, yes. And then, so he brings this straw man to life, and there's a bit of prose in which he thanks the straw man. And he doesn't quite know why he does it, but it's just something that he does. And I found that to be a likable quality. And I feel like there will be, at some point, some sort of karmic blessing for his treating his awakened creatures in such a way. Obviously, we don't know everything about the magic system, but it just feels like a morally good, polite thing to do, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. They're in service of you.
Mm-hmm. You've brought them to... Because we're going to talk about gods later, but essentially you've brought this thing to life. You've given it purpose. It has fulfilled the purpose. And you are about to ask it to die, essentially. So if you are its god, by dint of having given it life, the least you could do is say, hey, thanks for fetching the keys for me.
Yeah.
But we'll get to the specifics and our impression of the magic system and the world in a little bit. Let's talk briefly about Var and Nightblood. I don't know that there's too much to say on Var, other than that we've learned that he's the leader of the rebellion. He used to be plump, but not so much anymore after a long time of being tortured and presumably deprived of food. We don't know, I think, at this point, whether or not his rebellion is a justified one or it's just petty college kids playing at Revolution kind of a thing, right? But I got the sense that Var was a man of conviction and probably had some decent reason for the attempt.
Yeah.
There's a line, Vasher thinks to himself, Var had earned his fate, which is another cold Vasher moment.
I'm sure we'll have more.
Yeah. And then there's Nightblood. Love Nightblood already. Vasher steps back into the room with the guards. Their corpses are there. The blade in its sheath is impaled through one of the guards' chests. And that was a strange visual for me. I didn't quite know what to... I'm not going to say it was hard to imagine, but it was like... It was weird for me to imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That said, the personality already was like, are you proud of me? I knew you'd be impressed. Immediately makes me like the thing.
I love that we only got the telepathic messages and stuff at the end of the chapter. It was, okay, we know that there's this mysterious object, and he knew that would be a problem. He warned them. He said, yeah, be careful with that. It's dangerous. There's a clasp on the sheath. So we're like, yeah, there's something that we're trying to make sure that this thing does not accidentally get drawn. And we don't know that it's sentient at this point. So you would think, in the beginning, you're like, some dark magic will just be released and whatever, people will die. No, this thing doesn't even need to come out of the sheath. It as soon as it is just a little bit out, it obviously can act, and it impaled someone without even being unsheathed. So what happens when the whole thing is out? So yeah, quite scary. And then you hear it's kind of sarcastic, well, not sarcastic, it's kind of snarky thing of like, I did well, and then he doesn't get a response from Vasher, and he's like, oh well, I knew you'd be impressed. So it makes me also excited for the relationship between Vasher and this sword.
Me too, and I'm very curious. I suppose I had imagined the sword moving of its own accord. It's just sort of flying in the air. But it is also possible that like he takes control of the person that attempts to wield it, and then that's the person that's moving the sword around. There's still a little bit of mystery there as to exactly what happens. Yeah. I also want to note, since, as we will learn, color is very important in this world, it is a dark black blade with a silver sheath. Remind me, is black an absence of color or all of the colors?
It's that in pigment, so like when you're mixing pigments, paints and things, if all colors become black, so if you mix them all together, you'll get black. But then in light, when it comes to a spectrum, absence of light is black. So we don't know what kind of... It seems like this is absence of light to me, considering the whole death thing, instead of all colors coming together. But maybe that is something that will actually be explored, is that in pigment, it's all colors. So that's a kind of positive thing. In light, it's no color. So
interesting. Would you like to start a business, Kitty, where we sell pig-shaped mints of many colors, and we call them pigments?
That is you have to cut that out. You have to, because we can't give that idea away. It's gold.
Oh, man. Thank you. Okay, shall we get into Hallandren first or the magic first? Or I suppose second.
Well, I think Hallandren we can start a little bit with Hallandren because...
Okay.
Yeah, it leads into the magic.
Sure. So our first description of Hallandren is land of returned gods, lifeless servants, biochromatic research, and color. And even the guards insult Vasher at one point. He calls him a colorless fool. And I love that as an insult.
Yeah.
As I understand it, Hallandren is a very ostentatious, colorful city.
Yes, and we learn that Vasher has to get used to it again, because so clearly he's been somewhere else where there hasn't been a lot of color.
Right. And all of this color is juxtaposed against, I guess you could say, the necromantic elements of the city. So we've got capital R returned gods and capital L lifeless servants, which both seem to suggest returning from death in some way. I guess you could argue, well, returned just means, maybe they went to a neighboring kingdom and then came back, but that's really not what it is. So we'll get a little bit into it when we get to the actual returned god chapter, but there's a darkness to this place, I think. So one of the things we learn fairly quickly is that there are characters in this story who are ostensibly gods, right? Now, maybe I'm a bit too monotheistic in my interpretation of God, but I am familiar with the Greek gods and the Egyptian gods and so on. So it's not uncommon for there to be humanized deities who control specific domains and they have human flaws. It's an interesting thing to think about. What is it that I want to say here? It's such a strange concept, one that I think I tend to struggle in rationalizing, that one can be a god but also flawed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that is what God means to you, is omnipotent, omnipresent, omnibenevolent. So yeah, it's all that's what the baggage that the word God brings. Whereas this kind of God is not so much that it's all powerful, but representative of something. And yes, much bigger than humans, better than humans. So that is the godlike quality. And then there is also the personality part, that they can be selfish. They can be, they actually have more personality than a big, nebulous, really unknowable God, as opposed to these that we'll be exposed to. And that's that's the difference. That's the strangeness. But yeah, we know that there are polytheistic religions, and it seems like those ones will have gods and goddesses with personalities, and they represent certain phenomena, certain
domains.
Domains and things like that. Exactly. So, and then there's also the interaction between them, that they also have politics between themselves. So a lot comes to mind with when you're in a different kind of god realm.
Right. Oh, I'll also mention, since we've been talking about gods and now colors, this week I saw Wicked for Good, which you get lots of really beautiful saturated images of flowers and yellow brick roads in Emerald City. And then a few months back, I watched Gods of Egypt, which I did not care for. Very mid-movie, if even that. But you get gods and mortals interacting, and the gods are several feet taller than the humans, and it's like that meets that right here in this book. It's kind of neat.
Oh yeah, that movie does not look good.
Oh man, it's a shame it had.
They got Jared Butler in there.
They got such good actors in it. It is really a shame that it wasn't better.
Chadwick Boseman, Rufus Sewell, whatever. Yeah.
I think Jeffrey Rush was in it.
Yeah. He's raw.
Yeah.
Oh, Nikolaj Costa. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. I think I might watch it just so I know what you're doing.
Maybe I should give it another chance. As I'm hearing this cast, because it is a good cast. But back to Hallandren, it's the land of biochromatic research, and that is a cool term.
Biology, and chroma, color.
Yeah, so I guess like color is so deeply intertwined in their very biology, it almost makes it that much more tragic when we learn that there are people who give away their breaths and become drabs. But we'll get a little bit into that when we get into the breathing. I suppose that besides merely appreciating the term, I guess what I really like about the term is that it's like a really cool blending of magic and science.
Yeah. Again, Sanderson is masterful in doing that.
Yeah. We also learn that there is a god king. There are priests of the iridescent tones. Again, you've got thematic priests of color kind of a thing. And iridescent and tone meaning colorful sound, which
and
is so
that
cool.
That's the kind of priest that Vasher punched.
Yes. All of that said, we're going to get a more up close and personal look at Hallandrin, I think, in future chapters, but this was very much just the introduction. Is there anything else you want to add while we discuss that before getting into the magic?
No, the magic is, I think, the key, the most exciting thing in this chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a very Sanderson thing to do. Your first chapter, we're going to get the magic system introduced right off the bat, which is fine. It's interesting. I felt, taking in more than just this prologue, but the politics of everything and the war resource map stuff that happens over the next couple of chapters, I feel a bit as if there was a higher learning curve in Warbreaker here than there was in Way of Kings. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, it was much like, okay, we did get the magic working. We did get that in the prologue. We got surge binding, but then we didn't have much of it after that. We didn't have much discussion. We just knew it was possible and out in the world, and that was it. So we did get that, and then we got like sprinkling of Spren and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, we didn't learn. We didn't get as much exposition, I think.
Yeah, I think with Way of Kings, also it being a much bigger book, there was an element of, okay, I've read this, but I really don't need to commit any of it to memory for the moment, because I think it will all be reintroduced to me and it'll be hammered away by dint of repetition. This book, Warbreaker, feels like, okay, I should probably remember the bulk of this.
Yeah.
So we are introduced to the magic through Vasher. He awakens things. He can breathe into them. You cannot forcibly take someone's breath. It has to be freely given. I guess you have to touch them and say the proper words to transfer it.
Well, they have to say the words.
Yes, they have to say the words willingly. There's a description of it when he breathes into the straw man. Breathing is translucent like the color of oil on water in the sun. That sounds very lovely to me. When I read that, I did look at my book cover, which is, I'm guessing, Ciri, could be wrong, white hair, blue and white dress, and then presumably this is a breath coming out of her mouth. The art as depicted, it looks a bit more ribbony, a lot more solid than I imagine the breath to look, which I imagine as being a bit more ethereal, a bit more rainbow-like. Not in terms of color, but magic-y.
Yeah, not as ribbony.
Yeah.
I've got the Kindle edition, and the Kindle does come with the same cover as you're discussing there. There's the sword as well, and she's wearing a blue dress that is white at the bottom, and white hair, and then this kind of ribbon of breath or whatever. So we don't really know what sword that is. It's not a black sword, so it might be something else.
Yeah, so it might not be Nightblood. We do need to have a discussion about whether or not Nightblood was awakened at some point. But basically we learn that the more breaths you have, you achieve different heightenings. And 50 is just enough to achieve the first heightening, which is cool. I think...
Yeah, when you have when you have a heightening as well, depending on how many breaths you have, your heightening will affect the colors around you. But we have an explanation that he doesn't have as many, so it's not even perceptible to a normal person. So the guards don't even see that he's got the first heightening when he's thrown into jail.
Right. And as a gauge for what is an average amount of heightenings, as far as Vasher's aware, I think he notes that the God King is the only one he's aware of that has achieved the 9th heightening. Yeah?
Yeah.
So he wakes up the straw man, and we get the passage. In order to awaken, the man would need 3 things: breath, color, and a command. The harmonics and the hues, some called it. The iridescent tones, the relationship between color and sound. And then it goes on to note that in order to command something to awaken it, it has to be spoken clearly. You're not allowed to lisp. You're not allowed to stutter. If you do, the breath will be going into the object, but the object won't awaken. And I read that and I was like, okay, but can you get your breath back then?
Yeah, we didn't, in terms of the wording of that, we didn't get "it won't awaken." We didn't get that specific wording. We had "it will be unable to act." So I don't know if that means it goes into the object is awakened but cannot move because it just can't understand your command. And then, yes, that main question of, okay, fine, so you messed up. If you make the command clearly to regain that breath, can you get it back? Because that would be a horrible waste just because you stumbled over things. I'd be a very bad awakener then.
Quite, me too. But I also think that there does have to be an entropic method by which the amount of breaths in the world recedes. So that could be a way. We also know that if you die with breath, it's gone forever as well. Vasher plucks his eyebrow and gives it to the straw man also as a part of awakening him up. I don't remember if I've brought it up in the past or not. It might have made the cutting room floor. I have a hair pulling compulsion, which I tend to manage by keeping my hair cut pretty short.
Nice. I've got one too, but it's the eyebrow one.
Oh no.
So this one was really on the nose because like I pull my eyebrows out all the time.
Well, there you go. Did it trigger you in the same way it did me?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I read that and then it gets me thinking about the compulsion and then I'm like, shit, I feel the urge to do it. Control yourself. So I'm low-key hoping that they don't get too much into that in the future.
But it seems like he put that on there to make it more human, which relates back to what we learn about awakening is we need the object to resemble a human.
Yes.
In some way, it makes it easier. Okay, so it's not that you can't awaken something that's just a normal object. It just makes it easier. So it seems like it has to be more in the shape of man. So he made little straw man, literally, and gave it an eyebrow. And I love the line that it raised its eyebrow, its single eyebrow at him. Beautiful prose there because it was comical. Just gave me the vibes of like the gingerbread man from Shrek, but a straw man. It's beautiful.
I imagine it being just the cutest little thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it comes back with red, blood-stained feet, but shame. It's still very cute.
And speaking of red,
costly.
Go on.
It's quite costly for this thing he uses half his breath to make this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to slightly critique the editing of the book so far. When he starts the process of awakening it, we get the prose. Having so few made him feel poor compared with what he'd once held, but many would consider 50 breaths to be a great treasure. And then, like a page and a half later, when the thing comes back and he takes back 25 breaths, we get the line, compared with what he had once held, 25 breaths was a laughably small number. However, compared with nothing, it seemed infinite.
And this is like a page or two apart, not even 2 pages. It's like one couple paragraphs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those 2 sentences are just like way too similar to me and convey the same concept such that on my first read through, it did take me out of the story because I read it and I thought, wait, didn't I just read that exact same sentence 2 minutes ago?
Yeah. I was lucky. I was too busy being really in the action to pick it up or to be upset about it. But like now when you read it, it really right one after the other. I'm like, come on, guys. How did the editor not pick that up, man? But yeah, you guys know this is... Sorry, imagine if this was book breaking. Sorry, Dorkus, we have to stop.
Oh, no.
I did the two sentences. That's it. I'm sorry. I can't go on.
Terrible. All of that said, there is one element to the magic that we haven't discussed at all, and that is the color aspect. I mean, we have spoken about color, but basically the color drains from the red scarf that Vasher had hidden in his boot in order to awaken the straw man. And later when he goes to Var's cell, everything is painted in grays and dark like lacking of colors. So you also, as in the segment that I read before, that was the description, you do need color in order to awaken things as well.
Yeah. So that's why an awakening, when you imprison an awakener, you don't have any colors around. And Var was gagged as well. So you can't use you can't command because you need the command, right? We need breath, color, and a command. So that obviously isn't possible when gagged. You can't speak. So that works out. So we know what is required going forward. If our hero gets captured or whatever, we'll need to think about where they can get things from. I'm wondering if you could drain the color from blood.
Interesting.
If you are absolutely without color, blood is red. So what could you do with that? I wonder if we get that sort of answer at some point.
Blood magic. Blood mage.
Yeah, maybe that corrupts it or something. You can't use blood because it's corrupt.
Yeah.
It's profane. You can't do that. Yeah.
There is also the element that we didn't touch on. Not only is it preferable that something be in the shape of a man, but it's easiest to awaken things that once lived. So straw was once a living thing, but metal is not. So it's possible to awaken metal. It's just that much more difficult.
Yeah. So that brings us to the theory of, is Nightblood an awakened sword? And then what kind of powerful being could awaken a sword, not just to the point where it can move and things, to the point where it is sentient. So it's literally giving life to a sword. Or is it somebody's soul? Is this kind of like, the Skyrim magic where it's like you gather the soul and put it into. So I don't know. Very cool possibilities all over from this thing, this magic system.
Yeah. Very excited. Oh, and of course, on the topic of gods, because we did just come off the heels of Way of Kings, where Dalinar gets into the replay of the first vision, and the guy says, yes, I am the Almighty. I'm the one who gave you life, human's life, on Roshar. So, awakening, they are bringing things to life. So I wonder, because on one hand, particularly the farther we get into the book, by chapter 5 at least, I find it very questionable as to whether or not they actually are gods. But at the same time, the magic system does make it seemingly plausible that some of these guys could be Cosmere travelers, particularly powerful awakeners going from planet to planet, awakening things. We know they politic, we know they play games with each other, we know they have rules they abide by, so I'm wondering if these are literally the gods. The name ruin and preservation and cultivation, those don't seem to be quite in line with Light Song and the other gods' names I don't remember off the top of my head.
Is his name, the God King's name, starts with an S.
Yeah, and Suzabron, but that's not the one. There is another god named.
Oh yeah, there is another god named. It's actually, it seems like a female, but yeah, Suzabron is the God King, so even the most powerful of these gods.
Yeah, so I think for the time being, I'm leaning against the idea that these are the gods that Vin and Kaladin and Dalinar and Elend are all pawns of.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that, Kitty?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's nice to think about. It's the dynamic of there are gods going to different planets in the Cosmere and doing god things. But in terms of awakening, the thing is with awakening, it seems like things that yes they once lived are brought back to life. You would need base humans to put onto that planet in order to awaken them. So they're not creating. That's the thing. They're awakening. So I would think that the gods that are moving around the Cosmere are ones that can create from scratch.
That's kind of what I imagine as well. It's hard to imagine ruin and preservation and just going by the one-word name cultivation. We've had no other real introduction to her. Those really do feel more like forces of nature, more so than these gods are. It's like these are the gods, but they are the titans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anything else to say about this particular chapter? Have we covered more or less everything about the magic and Hallandren?
Just one more thing. With the heightening when he's because he gets many more breaths from Var, and there is I think it's then, but there's a description of heightening being aware of other living things. You're able to be aware of other living things, and it's not exactly tin. He also does say his senses are not heightened. That's not actually what happens, but it's like you can absorb more of the world with this, with more breath. And also just another thing, we get the idea that at each heightening you get, it seems like certain perks, and it seems like the second heightening you get perfect pitch. So you're able to identify tones immediately. So there is that that he gets, that he mentioned. So it's, there's a gift of each heightening, it seems. And I think when it comes to heightening, the fact that it's capital H heightening, it's obviously the heightening of your experience of the world. That's what I'm thinking the meaning of it is.
I am inclined to agree with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That all makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it.
Cool. Let's briefly summarize chapter 2. Would you like to handle?
Which is chapter 1.
Which is chapter 1. Yes. Thank you for that catch, Kitty. Mm-hmm. Would you like to handle this summary?
No, you do it. I would prefer you do it. You take the lead.
Aw. Okay. Okay, so we are introduced to Ciri and the royal family of Idris. Ciri is, and we'll talk about the specific line after the summary, reveling in her unimportance. She's the youngest daughter of the royal family, and Vivenna's the oldest sister. She is poised and prepped to go off and marry the God King. We've got Fafin, the middle child, who is a monk. We've got Ridger, the son, who is next in the line of succession. Mm-hmm. Ciri is off doing what Ciri does. She's reflecting how much she appreciates how small her home is, the home kingdom. She's walking through the town and she has flowers, and flowers are colorful, which juxtapose quite aggressively against the very reserved colors of the city. She's walking through and a bunch of children follow her, and at one point, one of the children goes up to her, and I think it's a little girl, right?
Something, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a little girl. Yes. Let's note that it's a girl because it juxtaposes against what Light Song does later when he takes the breath from a little girl. So I want to asterisk that. Ciri gives the girl the flower, and then she goes off to the kitchens where she speaks with one of the kitchen workers, Mab. Mm-hmm. They're talking about how her dad, Dedalin, is in conversation with Yarda. Those conversations always go oh so long. So she has some hours yet. So she takes a horse and she goes off for a ride. Very fun. We then switch to Dedalin's POV, in which he is deep in conversation with Yarda. He has received a pink letter from Hallandren. Basically, Vivenna has come of age per the treaty that they had signed, and it is time for Dedalin to send one of his daughters off to marry the God King. And Dedalin is feeling extremely conflicted. He loves Vivenna. He feels he's going to send her off to her death if they commit with this. They feel that war is coming to Idris no matter what they do. So it's just a matter of, can they buy time before it happens? Should it happen on their terms or not? Can they stall? Is it worth stalling? Eventually, Dedalin comes to the decision to send Ciri instead of Vivenna.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the chapter.
Yeah. Vivenna does appear, and she comes later on into that conversation.
Yeah.
At the end there, and she finds out. The way we find out that he's sending Ciri is he tells Vivenna she's not going, Ciri is. And that's how we end the chapter.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall we start with the characters then, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Ciri, first off, the opening line of the chapter is, "There were great advantages to being unimportant." I think an incredible belief statement. I think it's a likable belief statement in a way. It endears me to the character quite quickly. And as we get further on, particularly with Vivenna POVs and Lightsong POVs, we really learn that the big theme of this book will be about importance, unimportance, maybe even a bit of self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn that her hair is joyfully blonde, like aggressively, joyfully blonde,
Mm-hmm.
which is neat. I like the color changing hair thing. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like that is the father has that as well. So it's a royal thing. And they can control the hair color, but it's very difficult. So Ciri is out there with these joyous blonde locks. And that's also it stands out. And it seems like standing out
Shamelessly, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like standing out in this culture, in this town, is not a good thing.
Yeah, there's a puritanical element to it that is really interesting. In keeping with how standoutish she is, we get a little bit about their god, which does strike me more as that monotheistic god, Oster, the god of colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get the line, "Ciri had never been very devout. It wasn't her fault," she reasoned, "if Oster had made her with a distinct inability to obey." And that's juxtaposed against the previous paragraph where they talk about how Idrian children aren't supposed to show outbursts of emotion. And Mab is kind of scolding her a bit later on for being so out there with her personality and her colors. And we get a really great exchange where Ciri says she doesn't understand what the problem is. Oster made the colors, so there should be no issue with me taking it, especially if everyone else did it as well, then I wouldn't stand out so much. And Mab says, well, the flowers aren't evil, assuming you leave them where Oster put them. We shouldn't use Oster's beauty to make ourselves more important. And I like that. I don't disagree with that logic and that worldview. Maybe I'm just not an ostentatious person, but it's in this weird place because I like Ciri. I like her so much so far, too. But I also kind of agree with Mab. What do you think?
I think you risk not even experiencing the beauty of Ostia if you are worried about it making you seem more important. So you're leaving the flowers there. You're never picking them. You're never putting them in your house. You're never bringing them into your life because, oh no, I might be making myself more important. That is not even intent also matters as well. Ciri didn't pick that flower to make herself important. She picked it because she liked it.
Right.
And it's quite interesting that in her argument, she even says, well, we call him the god of colors. So yes, he is the god of colors, but then at the same time, it seems like this whole culture is based around this god that's actually austere, austerity. It's limited. It's here. You don't step out of line.
Right.
So it seems like they've kind of misunderstood their god. In my opinion, it sounds like, because they've got a god of colors. Which one is it? Is it the god that is very, ostentatious in terms of there's beauty everywhere, there's richness, and you have breath? Okay, because if we're going to assume that austere made even awakeners, breath, biochromatics, all of that is part of austere's creation. It seems like there has just been an overcorrection from the idea of awakeners, because Ciri does note that as she walks through Bevalis, which is the town. She notes that, okay, well, without color, then awakeners can't harm us. So it seems like an overcorrection, that color has become a big taboo. Everything has to just be muted so that we can stay safe. And we get a bit of an idea of this Idris nation being quite beaten down.
Right.
They're not very powerful, but they're in quite a position.
Right. Before I get into my response to that, I'll first say that I thought of the meme of the caption is written by a woman who says something to the effect of, "How do men live like this?" And then it's a picture of a guy's apartment, and there's like just a mattress in the corner and a lawn chair and an Xbox and TV and nothing else, no furniture.
Yeah, TV on the floor. Yeah.
So our different reactions to Mab, I think, on that commentary is humorous. But then the rest of that, yes, I agree with your assessment that sometimes you pick the flower because you think it's beautiful, but also don't forget that picking the flower essentially kills it too. But also,
it's only one flower. You're not killing the whole plant.
Yes.
And also the flower being having been pollinated as well. It's continued its life and whatever. I'm not out here killing all the flowers, don't worry. But
yes. But also there is, and I guess we'll get into a bit of the world building here too. I guess our structure is going to break down a little bit. That's fine. There are reasons. It makes complete culturally logical sense that there would be a nation which, I won't say despises color. Clearly they love it. Their god is of colors. But to have color makes awakeners, potentially dangerous awakeners, a way to inflict harm upon them. And Mab goes on to talk about inviting awakeners into the city if everyone has colors on them. So I can totally understand a culture not wanting color, especially as we learn after Hallandren basically usurped them.
Yeah, it makes sense. You could imagine in the Mistborn world that there could be a town where metal is absolutely prohibited. Everything is wooden. There is nothing. We had the kind of idea that their jewelry was wooden painted gold, essentially. But yeah, you can understand this overcorrection sort of happening. It makes sense to keep yourself safe. And we get this mention of this thing called the many war, which just sounds like, okay, many nations going together. Maybe in another universe, World War is called many war. Yeah, so we get that. And like you said, the royals, which is Ciri's family, fled from Hallandren and fled to Idris. So yeah, and that's why there is war still with them. So it's like, I guess they just wanted this entire family to be completely wiped out, or whatever, or this nation to be wiped out. There's just bad blood between them, and war is inevitable.
Yeah. While we're
one note, while we're talking about Mab though, I like her, and she, during the conversation, she keeps knocking the pot to check how it's ready, and there is mention that she thinks, she's convinced that she can actually pick it up, when things are done, just from the tone of the pot, the resonance. And that made me go, ooh, is she an awakener in secret? Or another thing comes to mind, that there is this cultural residue that actually that's what people used to do, awakeners and all of that. They could, because they get perfect pitch when they reach a second heightening, they could use that sort of skill in their cooking. So maybe she has that just, because her mom did that, and generations back it was normal.
Yeah. So I love that interpretation. I did not have that interpretation. I thought that was just to build her competency. She's someone who has cooked so long that she can do this neat skill. But while we're also talking on Mab, I will offer a light criticism for this chapter. Ciri is talking about how Vivenna and Father will uphold the treaty and make Hallandren uphold the treaty. And Mab says, and if they don't, they have better armies, better steel, more food, and those things. And that took me out just a little bit, mainly because would a kitchen person mind knowledge of the armies all that much? Maybe because I've seen Downton Abbey, and I kind of imagined Mab as a Mrs. Patmore type character, and I have a hard time imagining Mrs. Patmore speaking kind of like this. So maybe that's just something I'm putting onto it. But
yeah, I think that's something you're putting onto it, because also the way that I've perceived this kingdom is that it's a little bit more casual. You can't be too important. You can't be too far above other people. So it is a little bit more casual in terms of everyone knows their place, but you would still be able to be interested in the rest of the world. You're not like, okay, I'm just a cook, I do this. And there's also the idea that the help talks, the help speaks. And this also, the fact that the cook is thinking this also shows that the nation itself is scared. This is common. This has been going on for a long time. So it's not new knowledge. It's not something that everybody is aware of it.
Sure. I guess in a way,
so
I guess more than anything, it kind of rubbed me a bit as show don't tell, more so than combined with the vehicle of Mab who was showing us this. But hey, again, we're going into minute detail. So those nits we are a-picking. So shall we move on to Daedalin then?
Yes.
We're introduced to Daedalin contemplating whether or not to send his daughter to her death. And that was an immediately endearing thing, in the sense that it's like, oh, you poor guy, that is such a difficult circumstance, such a tough decision to make. I feel for you. You have my sympathy, kind of a thing. And then the further into his POV that we get, the more I come to really despise this guy.
Despise? That's quite a strong word.
Yeah, maybe it's too strong, or maybe my dislike of him has aged in the week since I first read the chapter. No, but it's like, as much as he will go on to protest that the decision he makes is for the good of the kingdom, no. The truth is, you just did not like your youngest daughter as much as you liked your oldest daughter. And it's not so much that you wanted her gone, so much as you were willing to sacrifice her for your older daughter.
Yeah.
And in so doing, you displace and deeply displease your oldest daughter as well. So I don't like his denialism. At least own it. But yeah, I just don't like the guy.
She is, Vivenna's 22, and she has basically been promised through this treaty to the God King, right? That was it. And now he's just backtracking on that. After all that preparation, he's backtracking on it because, no, they'll use her against him. So the really deeply unlikable thing that you feel there is he's literally saying, well, you know what, if they threatened to harm Ciri, I would be less upset than if they harmed Vivenna. And it should be the same. It should be equally painful. Yeah, you love your children in different ways, but giving one up should be as painful as giving the other one up. I don't know. Maybe I'm just ideal that way. I'm not a parent, so I don't know.
Yeah. Either way, I don't envy the choice. And I think it's going to be a choice that ends up working out for everyone involved. Because as we learn about Hallandren and as we learn about Vivenna, those two don't seem like they would mix. And Ciri at one point agrees. So there you go. In this chapter, we get a lot of learning about the resources and the state of potential war. But the bulk of this chapter really is Daedalin contemplating whether or not to do this switch.
The reason they're trying to gain time before this war happens. As you said earlier, it's inevitable. So it's really about trying to find that they want time so they can build up allies. And one of the allies they mention is Tedradel.
Right.
Yeah. And they also, just another thing just to mention, they had raids as well. So their raids were made on their kingdom as well. So they have other enemies that they're busy recovering from. And now they're worried about war with Hallandren. So they're trying to get to winter.
Yes. White snow. A winter war will be better for Idris than for Hallandren. We also know that they have very lucrative passes. They mention Var and his pawn call dissidents. At one point, one wonders why Var didn't ally himself with Idris. So I'm curious what's going on there. There was a passage, I'll note. The Hallandren needed a daughter of the royal blood to reintroduce the traditional bloodline into their monarchy. So that, I believe, I was able to extrapolate what future chapters go on to express a bit, which is before Hallandren, there was Idris. And these folks, were run out. We get Yarda, who is very much a manly soldier's soldier, who would not hesitate to send one soldier to his death if it meant saving the rest. That's something that Daedalin contemplates with regard to he should be willing to sacrifice one of his daughters to save the rest. Well, I mean, you've got one willing to volunteer, dude.
But instead, you're just going to throw the other one at it.
Yeah. And then Vivenna comes in, and Vivenna is the devout, proper daughter. Daedalin adores her, absolutely loves her, yeah? Throughout this chapter, as Daedalin comes to his decision, I felt so certain that Vivenna would not protest against Daedalin's decision. And I was thrilled to find out, one, that we get a Vivenna POV. I'm very excited for that. But two, that she argued vociferously that she be allowed to do her duty and not to send Ciri.
But in that moment, she says, she does try to protest, or she does say, well, I'm ready for this. This is what I'm supposed to do. But he just says no. And she leaves because it's like, okay, well, I have to listen to Dad.
Yep. And that ends chapter 1. Is there what else? Nope. Okay. So then we get into chapter 2. It starts off with a scene of Ciri in a carriage. She's not even allowed to ride her horse. Her hair is bleached white with fear, and she is freaking out about marrying the God King. She wonders if she'll be safe. She'll be his wife. She's getting married. She feels sick. She's very scared.
Yeah. She's got 20 soldiers like escorting her, but that's about it. There's no like advisor or attendant or anyone coming with her. It's just they literally threw her in a carriage and she's off.
Right. So I guess it's more or less establishing that a bit of time has passed, which I think it ends up being like 2 days have passed since the decision. Also worth noting, Daedalin made the decision in anger because Ciri had just returned from her horse ride, and he's looking at her blonde hair while he's desperately trying to prevent his hair from turning red with anger.
I think his feelings were there already, and yes, I agree with you. He's literally his hair changes color because he is angry. It's just that it makes him feel more justified, maybe, that it made it a bit easier, I think. But I think he would come to the same conclusion anyway.
Yeah. He was never going to send Vivenna. So then the chapter continues with a Vivenna POV, which I was very excited for, and I was twice as elated to see her arguing on behalf of Ciri.
Is it on behalf of Ciri or on her behalf? It's. I think Ciri is secondary.
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
She has some very condescending thoughts about Ciri, which I don't love, but it is what it is, and it's probably not unreasonable. And as you've pointed out, when it's combined with the element of you have just prevented me from doing the thing I've trained my whole life to do, how dare you? Kind of an element, it is a bit more understandable. So,
and Ciri is naive, so her needing protection is it's not untrue.
Yeah, and it's important to note, Daedalin sent her with no advisor, just a small group of soldiers, completely untrained, no one to explain anything to her. He really did just like threw her in the deep end. Quite terrible. So she's having this conversation, Vivenna is, with her father, and it's really interesting because Daedalin very harshly says all she has to do is go and have a child. That is it. And Vivenna takes that to be like, well, what have I trained my whole life to do if that's how you viewed this?
Yeah, the way it's worded is, why would I need training if all I had to do is be a convenient womb?
Yeah. And you feel really bad for Vivenna in that moment. But then again, she is such a great character. So is Daedalin. As much as I don't like Daedalin, these two characters in particular are so nuanced. It's, in a way, I think it's some of Sanderson's most nuanced characters so far, and in such a short amount of time. Vivenna has a certain degree of arrogance here, not just directed at Ciri, but not arrogance, narcissism. She's like, I was going to stop the war. And Daedalin's like, you really think that? You really think that? No, it's coming no matter what.
Yeah, she thought, like, her role was just to buy them time through the treaty. Okay, that's the whole point. Now she's come of age, which is 22, and the time limit went up, and that it was up, and that's it. So, but she thought that she could go and kind of soften relations and prevent the war through politicking and that sort of stuff, through her training, yes. But yeah, that training was not to reduce the chances of war. It was just to make her life easier there. That's it.
Yeah.
That wasn't the plan. Like, she wasn't the savior. It was just... But yeah, she has been shaped for this. This is the only purpose she's had in life.
Yeah, and now she is purposeless. She realizes that her dad really does believe that there is no way to stop the coming war, and she doesn't feel grateful. And at the end of this, like, the POV ends on, she was redundant now, useless, unimportant. So again, Sanderson is emphasizing the importance of importance and unimportance in this book.
Yeah, and now that it also highlighting the way that they've switched over, these two sisters. We had Ciri being happy she's unimportant, and now we have Vivenna who's sad that she's redundant and unimportant now.
Yeah, and it's like a writing 101 thing. You take characters and then you put them in situations where they are completely unprepared for, and that creates tension. You put them in situations that are against their skill set. And that's exactly what he's done here for both of them in a very clear and concise way, I think.
Yeah, we're only on chapter 2.
Yeah. And then we switch back over to a Ciri POV. We're back in the carriage and she's livid and she's yelling at one of the poor guards out of her carriage.
I found it so funny.
Yeah.
It just is this vision of she's yelling at him and he can't, like, it's not his fault and he can't really reply. Can't say, I know, right? Like, you can't say that about your king. So, like, he's just, it's so comical. Love it.
Yeah. And she's wondering why he did this. Sad thoughts about her father being tired of her tantrums and wanting to get rid of her. That does invoke the question that I think I should have asked earlier. Considering her love of unimportance and redundancy, her act with the flower in the earlier chapter, is that a cry for attention? Or does she not really like redundancy as much as she is claiming to, type of a thing? Because I do think she will thrive in Hallandren.
I think or her actions could be just the fact that she is the redundant one. She goes wild, essentially, runs around. She's like Merida from Brave.
Mm-hmm.
She seems to do that. You could say she's doing that because, well, she wants a purpose and nobody gave her one. So she's just, well, fine, I'll run wild then. And then she got, you can imagine she gets bad feedback from her parents for it. We actually don't get any mention of her mother. But anyway, we get bad feedback from the father when she does these things and from just society. So then she goes, well, I'll go even harder then, which is just, it seems like a very teenager thing to do. Maybe she will find that she actually does like being important because, yeah, she didn't have purpose before. We have such a young girl. She's so naive.
Mm-hmm.
And those things where she's trying to figure out why her dad sent her, and she's like, well, maybe he actually does think that I'll do good over there and all of that. Those sort of thoughts just make my heart break for her because it's just and it makes me hate Daedalin. So I think I'm with you on the despise because I'm just like,
thank you.
We didn't even have the discussion. We didn't see the scene of like where he explains it to her or anything like that. It's just all very painful. But then you do hope for Ciri that she likes color, and we've got Hallandren, which is very colorful. So hopefully that part of her will help her.
Yeah. And in this scene, she finally starts to see some color, which is great. Oh, and I think we get the first time use of the word rambleman, which I chuckled. I thought of gleeman and bard.
Yeah, I thought of them rambling, literally people that ramble around. They just go between place to place. They're like highwaymen, not criminal highwaymen. Yeah.
Sure. Anyway, she realizes she shouldn't be yelling at her guards, that they're in arguably a worse situation than she is in, or at least the same. And she determines to send them back as soon as they get to Hallandren, which is sweet, but... And like, what's 20 guards gonna do, really? So sure, go for it, send them back. But at the same time, it's like, no, you need people on your side loyal to you.
Friends. You could make friends.
Yeah. Then we switch to a Vivenna and Fafin scene. Fafin is basically... I don't love Fafin either, just because she has sort of a coldness with regard to what just happened to Ciri. We learn that she's a monk, so maybe that's just kind of her monkish, I'm not going to take sides, I'm just going to be sort of generically positive for you, or try to be at least, or a calming influence. She's basically saying, well, yeah, I thought you'd be happy about this. But Vivenna's like, I've lost my purpose, and Ciri's not right for it, and now I'm basically in competition with Ridger, who has been practicing his whole life to be next in line of succession, and that's going to cause drama. The terrible stuff is rippling. There's a ripple effect here.
Yeah, everybody is out of place. And that is very not Vivenna. Vivenna wants everyone in their place, everyone doing their role. Fafin seems to be the luckiest because she just has her role. We know that, or we learn that rich families and, noble houses and important families have to give a person of their family to the monastery.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Fafin is pretty. Yeah.
Fafin's pretty?
Yes, she's pretty. She's curvy.
Yes.
And men have noticed it, but we also note that in order to marry her, they would have to become monks. So it seems in this world, monks can marry monks. So that's nice.
Neat world building.
Yeah.
We also get the phrase 5 visions.
Mm-hmm. The coldness that you were talking about of Fafin, she does say at some point, I mean, they're talking about the war coming and all of that, and she just goes, Ostia will protect us. So it seems like that it could be just the way that she is, that it really doesn't matter because she's got such strong faith. And so what? We also get the idea that because Vivenna says, well, Ciri, what about Ciri? Like you're saying, I'm fine, but what about Ciri? And then she actually hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
So we get this idea that she doesn't consider things unless they're put right in front of her.
Right.
Yeah.
As Vivenna's freaking out, proper and devout Vivenna, we get a really wonderful line. Rarely before had Vivenna felt so frustrated at having to be proper. Her emotions were growing rather inconvenient.
Yeah, welcome to being a human.
Yes, but there was just a great humor there. It made me like her. Good job, Mr. Sanderson.
Yeah, it makes you think she's going to go on some sort of journey of opening up and allowing herself. Because she keeps her hair black as well, and then the contrast that to Ciri, who's blonde with joy. That's beautiful.
And at this point, she comes up with a very not proper plan. And I believe that we are given the impression that she's going to follow Ciri and serve as some sort of advisor to her, help her. Which, good, she needs it. And again, Vivenna's likability points just fly through the roof. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe there's an element here of her being selfish and like she's going to go there no matter what type of a thing to fulfill her duty, but you're also going to protect your sister, and I like that. Is there anything else to say? I don't think we have enough about the 5 visions to really comment on them in any great depth. Yeah,
they're mentioned again by Ciri in a later chapter, but not described.
Yeah. So then we move on to chapter 3, and I think chapter 3 is the longest chapter of this segment that we have read. So it's probably going to take us a little bit to get through all of it. But in a nutshell, we are introduced to Lightsong, who was one of the gods of the Hallandren court. His priest comes in and Lightsong starts relaying a dream to him. This is a regular thing for dream interpretation and prophecy and what have you. We learn that it is a feast day for Lightsong, so they take him over to this young girl who has agreed to give up her breath. Again, this is in contrast to Ciri giving a young girl a flower color. And Lightsong takes the breath and he feels rejuvenated. We learn that he has to do this thing like every 8 days or else he dies. So that's a lot of young girl breaths.
Yeah, not very godly, in my opinion.
It's so dark.
Sounds very vampire-y.
Yes, this chapter in particular was extremely dark. But to continue with the thing, he does that, then he goes and he looks at his offerings, and he's talking about them, and one of the offerings is an abstract painting which disturbingly reminds him of the dream that he had that night. We learn that the queen is arriving that day. The new queen.
The new
Ciri.
queen. Yeah. This new queen. So it means that there was a queen before, which makes sense if you've got immortal people.
Yes.
immortal gods. Yeah.
And so Lightsong does not have to deal with, I forget the word off the top of my head, but the request. Petitioners, that's it. And then he decides to watch the queen arrive. So that's the chapter. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lightsong, I felt, also has, first off, great first line. Lightsong didn't remember dying. Because he's a returned god. And we learn that these gods these returned have no memory of who they were before. And the priests refuse to tell them. And it's like, okay, who really has the power here then?
Yeah.
I agree with something that Scoot says, which is like, it's going to do you no good to know. It's not going to do anyone any good to know. And I can kind of get that. Like, you remove your memories, you're kind of a different person. And can you really get your old life back, kind of a thing? Why dwell on what was? Yeah, you're in a new situation. Nevertheless, this feels so much darker to me.
Yeah. And there is this idea of, we learn in terms of lore that the priests bring them back. I actually didn't realize that was the way it was phrased. Priests of the iridescent tones bring people back. That's actually how it was written. But they bring people back to live as an example of certain virtues. And the virtue that he was
bravery.
Boldness. So
boldness.
Yeah, bravery. So I mean, in the map that we get in the beginning of the book is light. It's in the palace of the return god Lightsong the Bold. So that's what they do. Each of them, what do you call it? The return gods have a certain virtue or something that they represent. And his is boldness, because he died in bravery, in doing a brave act, supposedly. But, we get Lightsong contemplating, is that even true? He doubts a lot of things, which I actually like. He's not just taking it all at face value.
Yeah, I really, really, really like Lightsong. He seems to have something of a conscience. He feels bad. He's doing bad things by participating in this. And to a point, you can almost get it. Like, you don't want to die. And
you've been told certain things.
Yeah. Yes. But at the same time, he feels bad for it. Like, he knows that there's a wrongness going on. And he strives to be honest with the offerings, which I guess is good. And he doesn't particularly care for politics, which in a way makes him likable in its own right.
Yeah. He definitely, with the guilt of it, we find out that these kids, essentially, that are offered up to him, it's voluntary, obviously, because
they are compensated.
The family is compensated. So I suppose this is also something that desperate people might do, or that people that are very devout will, give their child up and be like, okay, cool, because we get compensated, and we'll maybe get the favor of the god. There might be some idea of that behind it, but I think it might be just poverty. They just you're basically selling off your child, but the child is not dead, but they become drab, dull, faded ones.
Yeah.
So you don't die, but you don't have breath. And we had a kind of a glimpse of not having breath when Vasher he used all of his breath up to do his 2 awakenings, right? And then he gets the 25 back, and then obviously the hundreds upon hundreds from Var. And everything is dull when that happens. But I wonder if it's even worse for somebody who isn't an awakener.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's just gone. Yeah.
Yeah, either way, it seems like a terrible thing, like a uniquely sad thing to not have breath.
It's like you don't have a soul. And you don't you aren't able to see the beauty in the world. The discussion is the sparkle in her eye is gone.
Yep.
The shimmer in her hair, things like that. It's just there's kind of life taken from her.
Yeah. Do you think that Lightsong is depressed? Like, do you think he is suffering from depression?
Yeah, there's this emptiness because he's trying his best. It's not major, but he's trying his best to just keep afloat and to be like, no, to convince himself that he's good. He's okay.
Yeah.
This is good because I have everything I want. But
yeah.
that's exactly what depression is. You have everything, but you still don't feel good.
Yeah. We both, I think, agreed that there were elements of Kelsier in Vasher. Do you see any elements in Lightsong?
Oh yeah, because of just the charisma,
The flippancy.
The flippancy, the poking fun. I wanted to actually speak about poking fun when he's telling Scoot, obviously Scoot as well. Another fun thing is he's given this guy a nickname. His actual name is Larimar, but it's like, no, he's called him Scoot because he's always scooting in to take up space and asking questions, and because that's what the priest has to do, is take his prophecies and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like the relationship between the two. But
me too.
When he's reciting his dream, he goes through it and he talks about the dream, and then he goes, "Oh, you were there." And
I was?
And Larimar pales when that is said. So what does he know about what these supposed gods are seeing?
Yeah. Yep.
Is it related to, because now, okay, awakening, when Vasher awakened the straw person, he had to imagine what it needs to do, and then he commanded it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that there's an element of mind involved, and then we have the idea that that maybe, what's her name, Nightblood was awakened, and he's got this telepathic connection with Vasher. Is this kind of like the returned gods have some glimpses into the mind of the divine through their dreams, through things like that, and that's what the priests are trying to take down? Well, that's just my grand theory going around.
It's interesting because Lightsong establishes early in the chapter that he seems to be the only person, the only god who doesn't believe in his own religion.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the repetition in this chapter about the dream, and he keeps like telling himself, these priests, they keep trying to find prophecy in this meaningless dream. But then by the end of the chapter, when he remembers the dream more vividly, he clearly gets worried about it, and he keeps trying to brush it off. But you really sort of get the sense that maybe there could be something more to the prophetic nature of his dreams. So where do you land on whether or not that dream was a prophecy or not?
It seems like a prophecy. It's there is a boat, or like a symbolism at least. There is a boat arriving at Halandrin. Redness I don't associate with Suri, but the thing is she is arriving in a carriage and whatever. It's her arrival that's happening. And then the city is on fire. So she is there. If we're going symbolism-wise, she arrives and everything burns because she changes the
status quo.
The status quo. She changes something. So that's could be it. And then the fact that this painting reminds him, is that something as well that he's
right? Who painted it? Was that done on purpose? Is it a magical painting in some way?
Yes.
And then to the literal of the dream interpretation, we do know that we're on the brink of it, possibly. So it could be that. But I tend to lean more toward the symbolic with dreams as well. Though I have expressed in the past that dream interpretation is not my favorite element of fantasy books.
I love dream interpretation. I love it so much. I love it in real life. I love it in fantasy. Let's go, boys. Symbolism. Awesome stuff.
Excellent. I like Scoot. We certainly get two other priests in the first couple of chapters, one of whom I really don't care for. But as far as the priests go, and considering that I suspect many of them are deeply, deeply evil, manipulative creatures, I do enjoy Scoot. Larimar.
Yeah. Just some facts. Lightsong is 5 years dead. Well, 5 years returned. There's 24 deities. So there's 24 gods. They all live in this like hall of the gods where they just eat. Every one of them has their own mansion. They can eat food, but that doesn't keep them alive. So they get wine. There's a lot of opulence and just for fun. They can get a lot of pleasures. Apparently, they're huge. I don't know. Is this just that Lightsong is huge? I think all the
I think
gods
it's
are
all the
big.
gods.
Yeah, so that makes me go, oh, geez, well, what is involved in returning? That you just become massive, like 7 foot kind of thing. And it's interesting. We also get some discussions about the difference between an awakener and a returned. Returned is supposed to be better than an awakener, but I would rather be
Yeah.
an awakener, thank you, because they can't use their breath.
Yeah. One, they can't use it or they die. And two, they have to get a breath every 8 days, essentially.
Yeah, they're a vampire,
Yeah.
essentially. I would rather be a mage.
It's really necrotic.
Yeah, exactly. It's so I don't know why the priests have set it. Feels like the priests. I don't know. We both seem to have this instinct that the priests have set it up this way. We might have the God King doing this, and then it's like the Lord Ruler kind of thing, and obligators kind of vibe. But yeah, what is it? Okay, they can prophecy. They've got huge auras. Okay, so they create, they enrich quite a wide space. So you would think that they are very, what do you call it? Very powerful, and they would probably be great awakeners, but no, they can't. And also, if they lose their breath, so they've got many breaths, but if they lose their breath, they die.
Right.
They can give it away though, but they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Vasher wants to go and steal the breath of a god.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Very interesting.
Because then you could awaken.
Ooh, I like that as a theory.
Things.
Going forward, that's my theory. Vasher's going to try to get god breath.
Is it to awaken his dead lover? What is it?
Yeah. Speaking of dead lovers, don't let me forget that we need to talk about Lightsong contemplating a wife in his past life. But before we get to that, I want to say there's a really great world building line. The Hallandren Artisan's script was a specialized system of writing that wasn't based on form, but on color. Each colored dot represented a different sound in Hallandren's language, and so on. And it's like the good artists, the good writers can like the colors change as they flow. Sounds really cool and beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. Colored
and
colored writing system. That is
beautiful.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have the heightening, so there's the heightening, we know we've got the heightening with being able to have perfect pitch, but then they've got basically the equivalent visually, where they can pick up exactly what true tone or true pigment, true hue was used. So he can tell if there's just a drop of white paint mixed with red or something like that. So you have that combined with their writing system. It's incredible. So yeah, just a very colorful, very rich world.
Yep. And okay, let's get back to the wife of it. So Lightsong really is curious about his past life, and sometimes he wonders if he had a wife. Sometimes he imagines a woman or thinks he can remember one with, brown hair and ruby red lips, something like that.
Yes, he knows the tone exactly of the lips as well. Yeah.
So at first I wondered if perhaps there will be a love story between Ciri and Lightsong, but then I thought, well, I don't think Ciri has tan skin. And then I wondered, is it Vivenna? But I don't think she has tan skin either.
Well, it doesn't have to be that it is his wife, though. She doesn't have to look that way. It might be that was the past wife. That's it. She's gone. Or one day he might. But the thing is, they also are isolated, so he can't just go and walk around and find her.
True. He's not even allowed out of the palace.
Yeah, so he's actually quite a prisoner. He's a prisoner.
Yeah.
And I feel like, considering his age and what we've learnt about him, he's primed to be disillusioned and find out the truth.
Yeah.
About being a god. Yeah, so I, in terms of the romance thing, I was thinking Ciri is a bit young.
That's true.
Right now. So probably if there is romance, it might be Vivenna and Vasher. But yeah, I don't know. There might be like a
Yeah.
7 foot and then a 17-year-old. I don't know.
Fair. Also, we get that Lightsong is one of the few in charge of a contingent of the lifeless.
Yes.
And he thinks that the rigmarole of the command structure for them and how you transfer command and so on with different phrases is a bit convoluted. But at the end of the day, he's super important for, at times, for being able to control them.
Yeah, and there's kind of these phrases are like pass phrases that you would use for like two-factor authentication or something like that. And and it also they expire. So, you can give partial control of these lifeless. And it's just like, who creates the lifeless? How do they look? You would think, okay, they do differ because lifeless probably are not sentient. They're not people. Or maybe they're thought to be not people. Whereas returned, what's the difference? Oh, so many questions. But that's the state that you have to be in when you read a Sanderson book.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, the aftertaste of this chapter is one of, there is a deep wrongness here. I do not like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that I don't like it. You all know what I mean. I'm enjoying the book so far. And then that brings us to chapter 4, correct?
Oh, just by the way, the offerings, sorry, the offerings, their interpretations, their interpretations are seen as prophecy of some sort, and then they're burnt.
And basically, people can pay for better offerings or for other people to make the offerings for them. And Lightsong has one of those. Well, I guess you can pay for good blessings then, or something cheeky.
Yeah, and he gets a bit like, ugh, do I really have to give my response to these things?
Yeah, but he does strive to be honest in his response.
Yeah, because he's like, well, yeah, because he maybe, like, he doesn't believe in his own religion, but it's like, well, they were telling me that these things are supposed to mean something, so I'm giving back. This is the thing he wanted to do, is he wanted to give back somehow, because he got to live because of that girl's breath. So this is how he deals with that guilt as well. I don't know how valid it is, but it seems to be part of the system. And we don't know what petitions, we still don't learn what happens with petitions because of Ciri's arrival.
Right. So then we get to chapter 4. She has arrived. A large chunk of this chapter is dedicated to us getting a look at Hallandren proper. She is, I don't think reveling is the right word, but she is really meaningfully taken aback by how ostentatious the city is, the bright colors. Even the poor people don't look poor because they're all dressed colorfully. A priest approaches her, Trelladis, high priest of Suzebron, and he confers upon her something like 40,000 lifeless, I think, and they're gray. Like their color has been drained from them. These are corpses, which just add to the darkness feeling of Hallandren. There's something not right about it.
Yeah. Also, just a quick thing, like in that same paragraph, we actually get Ciri's full name, Cicerina Royal.
Yeah. Cicerina
would be, that Cicerina sounds so cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. But we have the whole name, His Immortal Majesty, Suzebron the Grand. So he's just grand. Because we had the bold, now we have the grand.
Yes. Anyway. And she thinks on the distinction between the lifeless and the returned and the drabs. We do get that at one point there had been a returned in Idris.
Yes.
He only lasted 8 days, which is very sad, and she wasn't allowed to interact with it, him, her. So we really don't get much information, but considering what was established about the priests making the returned, it's like, how did that happen in Idris of all places? And that had me wonder if the priests don't create the returned.
Yeah.
They just manipulate them.
Is it something like we had in Elantris? where it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or another returned makes them or something, or the god makes them. So who knows how this works? And yeah, but the remembering, this returned person was part of his family still, but couldn't remember them. He could still speak to them, but he couldn't remember them. And then he died a week later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great nugget of knowledge there, or that just adds to more questions, right?
Yes. And the city is nothing like what she thought. She was expecting a dark, evil skeleton city, which is not the case. And as she's taking in all of the colors and she gets a headache, her hair slightly turns blonde and she starts to cope. Well, maybe Dad sent me because he thought I'd be more appropriate for the position here, because this is clearly not Vivenna's style at all. And oh, you poor girl. I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, what if he came to the conclusion that she's the right one? It makes me just feel for, she really is so young.
Yeah. We get a view of the sea and the bay, which is poignant considering what we got about Lightsong's dreams. They pass in through various walls where the pores are kept out of.
There's this court of the gods.
Yeah. And then there's a pyramid, a black pyramid, which he notes as strange in a city of color.
Yeah, and in comparison to the other gods' mansions and things like that.
Yeah. She has trouble naming the 5 visions, so I think that's the second time we get that note. And then we get the priest back again, and I thought I despised Dedalin. I despise this guy. He refers to Ciri as a vessel, which is like, how dare you? Even go on.
It's given a capital V, Dorkus. She should be happy with that.
Okay, if you say so. He informs Ciri that the two are already married. There's no ceremony. She became wife the moment he decided that he wanted her. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess if you're a god, you can make that pass. But also, you're a dick. You're coming off extremely antagonistic as you say it. But also, this wasn't the daughter that he thought he would get. So, like, how do you know he wants her?
Yeah, you're married. You're married. He's actually married to Vivenna.
Right. Anyway, she hopes to see him before having to perform vessel duties, if you will. And the priest, he's like, you're an object. Don't pretend you're anything other than that. You're here for when he wants you. Otherwise, you go away and be a good little girl and do what you're told, or else your rebel friends in the Highlands will be unfavorably looked upon. So clearly, it's like, damn, you're going to tell your queen that her country are rebels. That's some serious aggressive chutzpah right there.
Yeah, it does not bode well for Ciri. Ciri is not going to have an easy time of this. As much as, yes, she likes color and everything, so at least she can find some joy in the surroundings, but I don't think this system, this place is going to be easy for her.
Yeah.
I wonder if Vivenna's training mentioned all of this. If because what they know about Halandrin seems a bit obscure. So does she know that this is how she would be treated? Does Vivenna know? We didn't have any thoughts of Vivenna thinking about how Ciri is not prepared for how he's going to treat her, any of that, in specifics. So I wonder if Vivenna herself, supposedly knowing about Halandrin and whatever, I wonder if she's also misled.
Yeah.
Because she seems to think she would be able to speak to the god and influence him.
Yeah, so I wonder if she knows about the factions or not. I mean, I don't think Ciri's... I mean, I don't know what Ciri knows or not. Like, does she know there's a god called Lightsong at all? Like, does she
No,
know
she wouldn't.
anything about, how their
She knows that
government
there are
works?
gods. She
Yeah.
knows that they are returned, and they are false gods according to her religion anyway. But the point is, they know that they are powerful. They know that returned are powerful.
Yeah. And then that ends chapter 4, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else of note to say for it?
I feel for Siri.
I really do too.
Also, from that as well, the kind of the limits of getting into the god's courtyard and all of that, it makes me go, yeah, Siri, Vivenna, great stuff that you're gonna run off. But yeah, this is going to be very difficult for you to get in there. You're not going to get like an escort or anything like that because you're essentially running away.
Yeah.
And she's used to everything being proper. So she is definitely going to be out of sorts on her journey to her sister.
Oh, yeah, very much so. She's going to rough it for a little bit. When she actually gets there, she could well be like, I am the queen's sister. I demand to see her. And I'm curious whether or not this priest in this chapter is just one jerk compared to others. Maybe once Ciri gets settled, there will be nicer people or more understanding people. But maybe not.
I think part of the politics of her navigating through is like there's 24 gods, and she would have to try and find people that are supporting of her, or the nicest ones around. I don't know. I wonder if she'll just be kept separate from everybody, as if she's like
a prisoner,
a brood mare, or something.
And broodmare. Yeah, and I think that could create an opportunity for Vasher to come in, and we'll get into him in just a few moments, but it could be that he'll come in and find a way to be her only friend and help sneak her out for bits at a time, kind of a thing.
Or sneak Vivenna in.
Or that. Chapter 5. Vasher is watching the procession, and he's thinking that this is going to complicate things, but Nightblood doesn't think that the plan is going to be changed from this at all.
The plan we still don't know. Thanks.
Yep. He starts walking through the city, and he has so much breath now that he changes the light and the color around him in such a way that it is noticeable by pretty much common people. And he has to get used to being noticed. His days of being a sneaky rogue are over. Now he has to be a charisma rogue. People are eyeing Nightblood.
Shall we? Should you mention the way that he was actually watching the thing? I thought it was quite entertaining.
From atop some drapery, right?
Yeah, there was a banner over the wall, and
tapestry.
So he awakened that. Yeah, tapestry, and he awakens it, and so there is something that is not man-shaped, but he's got so much breath that he can do it.
Yeah.
And it lifts him and lowers him, which is just awesome.
Yeah. And as he's walking through the city, people are eyeing the sword. And man, between the guards and how quickly, within minutes, Nightblood gets stolen in this chapter, it's like, is there just a lot of crime in this city? Just a disproportionately large amount of it? I get that sense a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, and why? Is that because people are desperate?
Yeah. I don't know. How good, efficient,
well, they just
and
are they
is
soft
the
on
government.
Crime?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they soft on crime or not?
Are they good leaders? Anyway, he thinks about stowing Nightblood in his pack, and Nightblood's like, no, I need the sunlight. And Vasher makes his way to a restaurant.
Interesting that a restaurant is a thing.
Yeah.
In this city, usually, in fantasy settings, it's just a tavern, an inn, those sort of things. It's not like purpose-made restaurant. And I like that there was a little bit of an explanation about that. Yeah.
The sword is stolen within minutes. Vasher just completely ignores it, which is fine. I get the sense that this will be a dynamic that repeats. And his spidey sense goes off. First that he's being watched, and then that he's being approached, and a priest comes and sits down. Although he's not he's not dressed like a priest, but he's dressed in his god's colors, which is like, you're not used to subterfuge, are you? And Bebed is this kind of neurotic guy. Yeah?
Yeah. He has breath.
Yes. First heightening.
Also, breath means you have further life. So he has about 10 years extra on his life.
That's good to know. Yes. Having breath
we also
can lengthen your life. Go on.
Yeah. We also get that you're able to see breath auras and distinguish other awakeners. So you're able to sense who's an awakener.
Yes. So Bebed says that he doesn't have much information to share this time around. And you get the sense that Vasher is blackmailing this priest. Like, he's not paying him, he's blackmailing him.
Yeah. Like he says, remember your indiscretions, which is like, okay.
Yeah.
So whatever those are, that's what he's using.
Yeah. This guy, Bebed, is a priest of Bright Vision the True. His oaths probably involve honesty in some sense, because he's very uncomfortable with what's happening here.
Yeah.
Vasher wants information on the gods' politics. He's like, you're not really telling me anything secret. Gossip spreads very quickly in this town. As Bebed is avoiding any meaningful information, Vasher loses his patience. He says, "Enough, Bebed. We both know that your oaths are all just part of the game." The idea of the priests and the oaths being a game speaks to this idea that the priests don't actually believe the religion either. That
They're just performing it because it helps them.
Exactly. So what does Vasher know about this? Very interesting, because like you get the sense that his goals from the first chapter weren't necessarily aligned with the rebellion, but here it's like, it seems like what you want to accomplish will at least be parallel with rebellion goals.
Yeah, it will destabilize something.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's just an in and out kind of thing. I feel like things will burn.
Yeah. Eventually, Bebed gives in and he starts talking about rumors about war breaking out with Idris. And I get through that and I'm like, are you kidding me? That's your information?
Yeah,
We've already known this.
Idris knows this. Like, if they know this, then the way he reveals it is as if, listen, like the way he says it, it's quiet. But even quiet enough that even observant priests only hear hints of it. It's like, okay. What is the thing? Is that there's factions, that it means that there is another side that doesn't want to attack? Is that it?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
So there are people who support the war. There are people who don't support the war. I mean, big fat duh. But as the conversation goes on, you rather get the sense that Hallandrin's strength may, big asterisk may, not be as strong as we've led to believe, or that Idris's position may be better off than even Dedalin believes it to be. But then you have to ask yourself, is Bebed just kind of a coward? Like, maybe he's just not a war guy and is subject to certain degrees of pessimism on the topic.
Yeah.
So I can't tell.
I mean, look at those lifeless.
Yeah.
Look at those lifeless soldiers. That is a lot. That's a big problem.
Yeah. And granted, Bebed considers that Dedalin might have been able to ally himself with other groups and factions, and we know that he has not yet been able to, that the option is there, but they have not yet officially allied. So the dice are still in the air, I think.
Yeah, I'm getting Bebed being scared, because it's like, well, war with Idris would probably, his biggest fear is that it leads to another mini war. So
yeah.
So I guess that's what that other faction who is against the war is thinking. Because we do have the discussion from Vasha where he's like, well, yeah, they have every reason to want to kill everyone from Idris because they're the original royal family. They have a claim to the throne. So why not kill everybody? Why not wipe the Highlanders out, essentially?
Yeah, there's very much Neville Chamberlain vibes from Bebed here in his concern about not wanting to get into another many war.
Also, so we can grab a little frozen land nobody really wants. It's like, so the kingdom itself, the land of Idris, is not really good anyway. I'm worried about so the war thing seems like inevitable, but the fact that we've got the royal blood mixing essentially with the returned, what kind of magic does that cause?
Yeah, interesting.
That's what's scary here for me. It's like, what does this God King get by getting this royal blood in? It's not just legitimacy for his throne because clearly he doesn't need it.
True.
It's. I feel like there is some really big gain, and it seems like Vasha knows what that is.
Yeah, tough to say. They talk briefly about economics. This is a dye and textile place. Bebed is worried that war would tank the economy, not that Vasher cares. They briefly discuss Var. Nobody knows who killed him. And it's like, you're talking to the guy. You don't realize that this guy you're talking to suddenly has a similar amount of breaths. Okay. We get that Bebed's god. What was the god's name again?
Something the True. Bright Vision the True.
Bright Vision the True is female. My lady isn't interested in these kinds of politics. I said it before. There are going to be gods who are for war and gods who are against war. Bebed recommends speaking with one of Mercy Star's priests or a guy named Bluefingers who is the steward of the high place.
Head of scribes. So, I wonder, considering scribes, is there like an office that goes through all of the predictions, all of the dreams and stuff? Because we get a lot of exposure to the priest always writing things down when they're like when Lightsong is talking. It's not just his dreams; it's all the time, as if they're prophesying all the time.
Yeah.
So a steward of the scribes would have access to a lot of information as well.
Yeah. Basically, once Vasher gets the information that he's just going to have to go elsewhere. No, he has some names of folks who know the information that he's looking for. He has a name of someone who is probably pro-war. He tells Bebed to pay for the meal, which is a huge power move. And he leaves and grabs his sword, sticking out of the chest of the thief that stole it. And Nightblood chastises Vasher for losing his temper.
I love this. He's like, I thought you were going to work on that, which is hilarious, bro. You just killed a guy just for, that's the thing. He leaves the sword there. I wonder if it's just, he's got like some sort of sense of exactly where Nightblood will be at any point. So he's got like Find My on Nightblood, but he like, because yes, he did lose his temper. He got very frustrated. He bent the spoon and all of that. So it does make you think, okay, this guy's very, very serious about this thing he needs to be doing, which we still don't know. But I love that he goes, I thought you were going to work on that. And then Vasher's like, I'm relapsing. I guess I relapsed. And then I love this word. I don't think you ever really unlapsed in the first place. This is the comedy. I really enjoy these two, the back and forth. That's not a word, he thinks.
Yup. Oh, gosh. Very excellent comedic duo. I'm very fond of them.
And here is your, kill everyone stuff.
Yeah. Nightblood's way would have been to kill everyone. And he's like, well, I am a sword, so might as well stick to what you're good at.
It's really good. I love him. I mean, he's horrible and scary, but it's pretty funny. And I say it's he. Oh, by the way, quick note, the Kindle version that I have of the book is annotated. So essentially it has it's like a director's cut on every chapter. There is like
Neat.
a write-up. Okay. I'm not reading them. I read the first one in the prologue. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because it seems like Nightblood is his sword, is Brandon Sanderson's sword. He gave his wife a sword, which was Lightsong, and his is Nightblood. So, like, how cool. Brandon Sanderson gave his wife a sword at their wedding. They both had swords.
That's
very cool. So that's the kind of stuff that you get to learn when you're reading the annotation. So I'm not doing that because I think there's a lot of meta knowledge as well that I'm not ready for. So I'm leaving that out.
I think that's for the best. I think that's wise. Yeah. And then we get into a Lightsong POV, and he's watching the procession and he's appreciating the day, which is great. More so than anything, he's just glad he doesn't have to do the petitioners, because he would rather nap.
More important things to do.
Yep. They point out just how young Ciri is. Neither of them can imagine marrying a god king at that age. We get some comedic banter between Lightsong and Larimar regarding imagining Scoot as the wife, because they're talking about not being able to imagine the situation.
And then he imagines him in a dress.
Yeah. His mind drifts back to the dream or the nightmare that he had and his past life. He wonders if he was a man of the sea. A seaman, if you will. Suddenly, at this point, the dream becomes much more vivid in his mind. He sees the Red Sea, fire, death, killing, and so on.
Yeah, Tatalia is the city in flames. So I think this is actually when we first see it in flames.
Yes. Lightsong comments on folks watching Larimar loom over Lightsong as being buzzards who want to go to war. I was curious who that was referring to. Like, surely the other gods wouldn't be. So maybe it's just the other priests, and maybe they're the ones more motivated to war. Again, we kind of feel like the priests are up to no good.
Yeah, it would be the priests and the gods. So there might be gods that are convinced by their priests. There seems to be a very close relationship. So they would have that. And so it would make sense that they want Lightsong to be convinced to go to war, because he seems to have control over a lot of the lifeless.
True. And he's very brave and bulky, so he'd probably be very good at it. But speaking of close relationships, Larimar used to be very formal, and now because of Lightsong's attitude, he's relaxed a lot, which I thought was cool. Neat. Lightsong despises politics.
But he seems aware of it, though. He's aware of it enough to see that people are trying to get them to go to war.
Yes. But then on that topic, again, we're continuing with the themes. He says, on the topic of giving up his control of the lifeless, it's all part of my master plan to ensure that I become totally and redundantly useless to this city by the time I die again. The discussion continues to point out the redundancy of the redundant comment, which is very humorous. But again, we get this idea of Lightsong doesn't seem to want any responsibility. He just wants to be useless, redundant.
Yeah, he just wants to have a nice life.
Yep. They continue to discuss politics a little while longer. Nothing we haven't gotten before now, I think. It's just from the gods' perspective on the matter.
I like the idea of war. War is worse than politics, but then Larimar says, some say they are the same. I think that's quite a nice idea. That yes, politics is really just war with ideas and with who is on board with what. And then, yeah, it can lead to war. It can be part of it.
Yeah. And the difference between war and politics is politics frequently has hors d'oeuvres.
Yes.
Lightsong notes that the Idrians don't consider themselves rebels. They're not. They were ousted. Yeah. I guess there are Idrian dissidents in the city, I don't know how much of a faction they are, though.
Mhm.
Lightsong just thinks it's rumors. They talk about being overthrown, possibly. There's a great exchange about, as they hang me with you beside, I will shout, "You were right, you were right." Just to make sure that everyone knew. And then Lightsong reflects that he's really uncomfortable with the power dynamic between himself and Larimar. There would be no questioning of motives, no rebukes. If Lightsong gave an order, they would all do exactly as he said. Sometimes that terrified him. He's afraid of power, or his own power, a little bit. And then he goes off to pretend to get drunk.
Yeah, because he can't get drunk. Again, it's the zombie body.
Yeah. What a start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I like the world so far. I like the colors. I like the magic. I'm disconcerted by Hallandren and want to see the depths of the depravity involved in upholding such a kingdom. I like the characters for the most part.
Yeah.
Anything else to say, Kitty?
Just a great start. Really, really great start.
Wonderful.
I'm so into it. I could lie down right now and just read the whole book, but I won't. Don't worry. We're just going 5 chapters at a time, I think.
Something like that. I forget if there's slight differentiation between them. I've got my index cards to do that thinking for me.
And I will just read the notes that you send me to do the thinking for me.
Oh, that's right. I have to do that too, don't I? Cool. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kitty if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel.
Subscribe to this channel because you know it's great.
It would be tremendously appreciated. There is also a Discord. I post memes. And we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.